The Frontline starts now.
And we welcome you to another episode of the Frontline podcast. This week, I'm pleased to be joined by Harrison from the Garrison, Harrison Clements, and our intern, Kassie Millen. I am, of course, Kortney Kenny, and I'm just going to hit the ground running, guys. We got something off topic, but it's not really because it's bringing something back from the last time you two were both on this episode together. I had KFC today, and those fries have taken over top spot for me.
Really?
Those fries, I don't know what they've done. Changed the fries up. It's primo, chef's kiss.
I think they added new seasoning.
Yeah, it's really good.
So like
It's
12
not bad.
herbs?
Wait,
Did they add another secret herb?
Yeah, 12 herbs and spices now instead of 11.
Oh, boy. Yeah, KFC is close to where I work, so I might have to go just for the fries. I can't eat anything else there because KFC hates me. I love it.
Yeah.
But I might have to try the fries now after this crazy decision we're opening the episode with.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Wild and crazy.
Yeah.
You guys were all worried about what I was going to hop on them, but
You gave us a disclaimer. And it
Yeah.
was just like, where is this go? Fries? Okay, that clocks. That clocks.
Yeah, you never know with you what you're going to bring up, so.
Wow.
Wild card.
Roadhouse. Thanks for just like straight up like, I'm just going to throw you under the bus right off the hop.
You're welcome. You've thrown me under the bus before
I've
on here.
never.
You lie.
Never. Ever. How's
At least I
exams
think you
going
have.
for you? I guess it's, I already asked you, but I got to ask you on the podcast now. So that starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And by that point, by the time this episode comes out, you'll already be at exam in.
Yeah. I'm nervous,
Yeah.
especially for the kinesiology
So
one.
which one do you have on Wednesday?
I have English.
English? So
I'm
that's
confident
easy.
in that. Yeah.
That's easy.
I'm pretty confident in that. It's the kinesiology, which I'm not
So
confident.
is that, how many, you got 3 exams or 2?
2.
So when's that one, Friday or Thursday?
That one's Thursday.
Oh, so at
Friday's
least,
a PD day.
well, I don't know. I go to work Monday to Friday.
My bad.
And even then, sometimes I don't go to work Monday to Friday. I mean, I am at work all the time. This is my job. Don't shake your head at me. Where's your hoodie?
Oh,
This would have been a good time to
I put
work.
it in the car.
Disappointment.
I'll wear it Thursday.
Harrison is modeling our very nice golf shirt.
Well, I was last time, but I couldn't figure out how to get my sweater off, so I decided to just ditch the sweater and only wear this time to make sure it was on camera because it is extremely comfortable. I quite enjoy it.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah, you'll get it. It'll look great.
I better.
They always look great.
It's just for those at home that can finally see it on YouTube. It is maroon, and we have never made fun of the color maroon.
Never. This is not a red flag.
Yeah, we've not switched allegiances whatsoever. Maroon's an okay color now.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of Maroon 5. They're a pretty good band.
That is your official stance.
Yeah.
This is a Maroon 5 podcast.
The best Super Bowl halftime performance was Maroon 5. Changed my mind.
Easily. No.
Okay, what was your favorite Super Bowl halftime performance?
I really liked the West Coast one.
Yeah?
That happened a couple years back with Snoop, Dre.
That tracks with
Like,
you.
Yeah, it tracks me through, but it was also like really tight. They
was good,
really
yeah.
got the vibe of it, and the production, like from a TV standpoint, was really good. It was just like, I feel like watching it on TV was way better than if you were in the stadium, though, because you get half of the show.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that they literally you could only see half of it.
Yeah.
But no, that one was a good one. I enjoyed that one. Kassie, how often do you watch the Super Bowl? Do you watch the halftime show?
No, not really.
No, so I can't be like, oh, what's your favorite halftime show?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay, well, we tried.
I know, I'm boring.
No,
okay.
I mean, that's okay. Not everyone's into football, but I mean, I was the type of person that before I got into football, I had to watch the Super Bowl, like regardless. I didn't even care. And like this year, I don't care about who's playing at all, but I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Like, it's
it's
just-
always an event.
Yeah.
It's
I guess
worth
it's
watching.
true.
But my favorite thing though is because we get like the bad. You heard Ryan Patrick, Dylan McElhaney, Miles Gordon. You guys get better commercials in the States than we do.
So much better.
So I'll give you that victory there. By the way, to the woman in Powassan last weekend, I think she was agreeing with me that it is a dock and not a marina.
Oh, yeah.
Or it is a marina and not a dock. And I think I took it wrong because I said, well, no. And anyways, I think we agree. So I appreciate you saying that it is indeed a marina and not a dock. And if you disagreed with me, well, then I'm sorry because It's a marina.
It's a marina.
That is by far and away what this is all about. But yeah, no. Anyways, yeah. So my favorite thing about the Super Bowl is actually YouTubing the commercials the next day.
Oh yeah, the Popcorners one from what was that
the
last
Breaking
year?
Bad one? Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, Popcorners is probably my favorite chip.
They're really good.
They are really good. Please endorse us. We will do crazy things. We won't cook, illicit substances, but we will make funny commercials for you.
I can barely make grilled cheese. I couldn't make illicit substance.
You know what my favorite thing about Breaking Bad is though, is that Bryan Cranston said that they taught, like the DEA taught him how to make it.
Yep.
But then they couldn't actually use the real, ingredients in the show because they didn't want to give people at home an idea of, wait, that's how you make it?
What if I tried this myself?
Yeah. Oops. I really appreciated though that Grand Theft Auto 5 came out around the same time. They really leaned heavily into like that side of things. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, they knew their audience.
And then we'll finally get GTA 6.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited
next year.
about that.
I've aged so much since that game came
There's
out.
been 3 consoles since that game's come out.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's the wild part. It came out on 360. We've had the Xbox One, and now I've been playing it on my Series X still.
I can't wait to use my pension to buy the next one. It's gonna be great.
Well, retirement is coming pretty quick.
I'm 25.
I don't care. It's coming pretty quick.
Oh no.
You can see the gray hairs.
That's unrelated.
That's from cheering for the Montreal Canadiens.
Among other things. That's not even cheering for the Habs. That's just cheering for them to stay healthy, not even to win. That's
fair.
Who's gonna get hurt this week?
Yeah.
It's Kirby Doc again.
Well, on that note, Kassie, we are going to throw you under the bus when we come back from talking to JJ, the former trainer and athletic therapist of the Powassan Voodoos. So we're going to... The look on your face right now is...
I'm scared, especially
I'm not telling you what it is. You're going to have to sweat it out. You're going to have to wait till after the interview to find out.
Oh, God.
So... You listeners at home will have to wait until after the interview too, or skip ahead because you have the power to do that. But please don't. JJ's pretty awesome. So with that being said, we're going to throw to a quick break, and we'll be back with JJ on the other side of this.
Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items, or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
Hey there, I'm Mike the Financial Advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt, or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family, I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
All right, pleased to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend. Voodoos fans, you might remember him from a couple of years ago, including a championship ring as well. But he's been kind of out of the spotlight a little bit, so we're bringing him back. It's Mr. JJ, the former trainer and athletic therapist of your Powassan Voodoos. Welcome, JJ. It's great to have you on.
Oh, it's a great pleasure to be here, Kortney. Thank you, and good evening.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited to get going here because we've mentioned a couple of times here on the podcast, about the rivalry between the Timmins Rock and the Powassan Voodoos, which we'll get into in a moment. And who better to talk about that than you, or someone who was on the bench for a lot of those games that wasn't a player, of course. I'm sure some of those guys would love to come on and rip into the Rock a little bit, and I'm here for it. But I just wanted to get why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you've been up to since you left Powassan?
Well, yeah, I'm living in Cranbrook, British Columbia right now. working for the Cranbrook Bucks hockey team full-time as their trainer and equipment manager. I'm working part-time at a casino out here just to make some extra cash. Loving the Rockies. It's a great outdoor place, Cranbrook. There's a lot to do, lots of hikes, lots of mountains, things like that. And some of the golf courses out here are absolutely gorgeous. I worked on one this past summer, and it's just been a fresh of breath air, pun intended. So
That's fair. No, I've never made it past the Sault Ste. Marie is the furthest west I've ever been. So
okay.
I need to get out that way at some point. My buddy lives in Alberta, so he keeps bugging me too. So I just got to do the whole trek across Canada at some point. Can you confirm or deny the reports that we got last week from Miles Gordon, the Voodoos goaltender, who said bagged milk is not a thing out in BC? To put you on the spot.
I cannot speak for the rest of the province, but I have seen bagged milk in Cranbrook.
All right. So
if I may, that could have to do with the fact that we are so close to the Alberta border in Cranbrook. It's basically, I hate to say Cranbrook, British Columbia, because it's basically Cranbrook. We're only an hour and a half from Alberta. I'm actually 4 hours from Calgary, where I'm like 10 hours from Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very East Coast British Columbia.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to put Miles on blast next time we see him when he's warming up at a Voodoos game. We'll have bag milk signs or something for him. But yeah, let's just dive into it, JJ. I know we had many conversations ourselves during, the 1920 season about the Timmins Rock and plans that we had for social media and stuff when that inevitable win we thought was coming. And then, of course, the pandemic had other plans. But take us through what life was like as a Powassan Voodoo when you'd have to take on Timmins.
Well, first of all, I mean, any particular hockey team aside that we played that year, the 2019-2020 season, for me personally in my career, was by far my favorite season I've ever been a part of. Max Gavin and Josh Dale were the head coach and assistant coach for Powassan that year, respectively, and they were just great to work with. We had a great group of players on and off the ice, and it was just, you looked forward to going into the rink every day because I really enjoyed the players that I worked with. Very polite, very respectful young men. Not to say I don't get that any other year, but there was just, something special about that group. And it started from the net out with, Owen Say and Christian Chichagoy, right up to, from our defensemen to our forwards. So we were just a very well-oiled machine, and it's really too bad that season was canceled. The playoff season was canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic, because my stance to this day was, with how good we were, with how good Owen Say was in net for us, that team would have gone to the national championship that year. And that year there was a Dudley Hewitt Cup. So I'm sitting here confident enough to say that we would have gone as far as Owen Say took us, and our defense, because we had a really strong set of defense that year, and we would have gone as far as they took us. And I truly believe we would have won the Dudley Hewitt Cup and would have been the first NOJHL team to do that. And I think it would have been 5 years at that time. And I'm not guaranteeing you we would have won the national championship, but we sure as heck would have been there. And that was just, that was the most talented team that I have ever been a part of. It was just right from day one of training camp to when we had the disappointment of the season being canceled. It was great. So,
and that's saying something, considering you're part of a team that went 12-0 in the playoffs.
that is saying something. Yeah, my first year in Powassan, we ran the table, and you know what, we started off that year not so hot. You mentioned the Timmins Rock. I remember our first game against Timmins that year, the 16-17 season. We went to Timmins and we scored the first goal of the game early to make it 1-0, and then they got nine unanswered goals to win 9-1. And we struggled for the first month and a half or so, and then we went on I think it was 25-game winning streak. We tied the 26th game, and then we lost the 27th game. So we went on a 26-game undefeated streak.
Wow.
And then we ran the table in the playoffs in the 12-0. And that, as enjoyable as a season that was, getting to participate at the Dudley Hewitt Cup, there was something about that 1920 season that just stands out for me. I think it was just the friendships I made and, the experiences I got to have with, Team Canada East that year. Owen Say got to go with me to that, as well as Corey Beer, who was the head coach of the Timmins Rock at the time. He was an assistant coach with that team. Nick DeGrazia, who was they were the Rayside Balfour Canadians at that time, got to go to that tournament as well. And that whole experience, as well as the experience of the success that we were having at home in Powassan that year, just made the whole season memorable.
Well, I was talking last year. There was a moment, and I had Ben Long with me on one of our games doing color commentary, and off air I keep saying to him, like, man, there's just something, because the last time I'd really been around the Voodoos was the 2019-20 season before last year. And I said, so that was my last real experience. So I said, they're missing a game breaker. Like, those guys had Parker Bowman, they had Greg Trudeau-Paquette, who could go out there and break the game wide open, because they had Owen Say in the back that was making save after save. And he kind of was like, why are you so in love with that team? I was like, because they're going to win a championship. They would have won. It would have been easy to say they would have.
Yeah. And you know what you mentioned? Yeah, we've got Owen Say back there stopping us. And it's like, if Owen it was his turn to not be in net, or he needed a night off, well, our second goalie was Christian Chichikov. So it's like, you had 1A and 1B as far as I'm concerned, like two just phenomenal goaltenders, but also, phenomenal people. Like they're both brothers to me to this day. And yeah, that's a very good point you make.
But just to kind of go on that, I was doing some digging, because every time I do digging on that 1920 team, I'm always like blown away by some crazy stat that I find. And so I sent this to Chris. Well, actually, I sent this to our little Frontline group today. Owen Say, obviously the stats are, 31-2, 3 shutouts, and 190 goals against average, which you don't see, a 941 save percentage in 36 games. He allowed 63 goals on 1,072 shots. He started the season with a win in 16 straight games. Didn't suffer a loss until 9-0 loss to Blind River on November 24th. His second loss came November 30th in a 4-2 game against the Sioux Eagles, and then ended the season with 14 wins in his last 16 games. The 2 of the 16 were no decisions, in which you played a combined 7 minutes and 40 seconds, so he would have came in relief. Like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
It was nuts. And I looked at the stats too, and I believe he was 24-0-0 against teams in the East Conference. He did not lose to anyone in our conference. The 2 losses he did have that year was, again, to that Blind River game where we got pumped 9 or 10-0. I forget what the score was. It was something just terrible.
It says 9-0 is what I have here. So
9-0. Yeah, I remember that game. It was the end of not making excuses. Good for Blind River. They killed us, but it was the end of a 3-3. And we were injured and we were tired. Like Gregory Trudeau-Paquette and Parker Bowman didn't even dress that game. So, I mean, there's your 2 top scorers out. And yeah, but anyway, we still had a good team, and good on Blind River for that game, because they really capitalized and took advantage. And then, a few weeks later, we lost at home to the Sioux Thunderbirds 4-2, and Owen was in that. And it's funny story about that 9-0 game. I got a phone call that morning when we were on our way to Blind River, that Owen was going to be getting a phone call from the head coach of Team Canada East to invite him to be on the roster. And they said, keep it to yourself. Don't tell him until after your game today, because we don't want to distract him. And anyway, after the game was over, I'm talking to Max, our head coach, because obviously Max would know that he's being selected. And I said, well, do we break this to him now, or should we wait? And he's like, oh, let's just tell him. So we pulled him off the bus before we left Blind River. And I remember the director of operations for Team East, he called me before I told Owen. He's like, before you tell him he's on the team, do you want to check to make sure his eyesight's okay or something like that? He's good, man. Like, there was other factors into why we just got blown out like that. And yeah, so anyway, I told him, and he was obviously ecstatic that he had made the team. And yeah, it's just to your point, his stats were really good that year. So well,
and then I dug a little bit deeper. So that the record that year was 45-9-1-1 with 92 points. Say accounted for 32 of those wins, meaning he got 64 out of those 92 points. Like,
right.
Just unbelievable. I mean, and that's not to diminish, like you said, Christian Chichagoy and even Luke Greenwood in the first bit of that season as well. But
not at all. Not at all.
I think Owen was perfect against Tim. Like, well, you said against the East, he was perfect against Timmins. The only, I think, 2 wins that Timmins got was with Luke and Cheech, and that probably.
That's correct. Yeah, we played Timmins 8 times that year, and when Owen was in net, we went 6-0-0 against them.
Yeah,
and then there was, and I remember the one game in Powassan. It was in like late February, and we only had like 14 or 15 skaters because we were really, really injured. And Owen was in net, and Timmins was like all over us from like the second period on because we were tired. And it was 0-0 the whole game. And then the only scoring chance we had in the third period was like with 2.5 minutes left. Millsy passed it over to Joe Whittet, and he tucked it home to make it 1-0. And we won the game, 1-0. And I think Owen, I'd have to go back and look, but I think he made something stupid, like 54 saves or something like that. And it's just like this kid's unbelievable. And there's a reason why he had so much success with teams he's been with after that. And, he's having a lot of success in the NCAA now. He's in his sophomore year at Mercyhurst, and he's already like their top goaltender. He's a nominee for the Mike Richter Goalie of the Year award for the NCAA. Like, I don't want to jinx the kid or get too far ahead of myself, but you're going to see this kid playing pro one day somewhere at a high level. Like, he's unbelievable. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, I kind of want to dive into your Team Canada East a little bit, but that's the thing that's wild about it is we were sitting in Powassan watching Owen Say play, and I remember we were talking. I know you and I were talking at one point, and I was like, "Why didn't he play?" And you're like, "Well, it's because he was behind a guy named Devin Levi." And you're kind of like, "Okay, that makes sense." Like,
and like Owen might kill me for telling you this, but I remember it was after the second or the third game of the round robin at the Team Canada East tournament at the World Junior A Challenge. And Owen, like, you could just tell, like, those who didn't know him wouldn't know he was down and pissed off about the fact that he didn't really get to play that tournament. But, like, I had known him for 5 or 6 months at that point, and I just pulled him aside, and I was like, Owen, you're not a bad goalie. And, there's probably 65 other goalies in Eastern Canada that would give their left arm to be able to just be in the position you are. And I said, this Levi kid, like, it's not that you're a bad goalie, man. Just this Levi kid's going to be on the World Junior team next year. Like, he's that good. It's not that you're not that good. It's just that this kid's at a whole other level beyond his age. And, kudos to Levi, because he is single-handedly the reason why we got to the gold medal game. And, we ended up losing a heartbreaker in double overtime to Team Russia. But yeah, like, 2 really, really, really solid goaltenders that tournament. And yeah, to your point, Devin Levi's now one of the starting goaltenders for the Buffalo Sabres. So I'd say he's done pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that whole experience I know you talk about Owen, telling Owen about it and all that stuff, but from you finding out that you're going to go in that whole tournament, obviously ultimately finishing just short, but what was that whole experience like for you?
Best hockey experience of my life, bar none. Nothing will ever come close to that unless I go to the Olympics with Team Canada one day and win gold. And the chances of that happening are pretty well slim to none. So, but by far the greatest experience I've ever had. I kind of just applied for it on a whim. My season with the North Bay Battalion, when I was there for a year full time, had just finished up, and it got announced I was going back to Powassan, and I got an email from the commissioner of the NOJHL, Mr. Mazuka, and it was an application for the World Junior A Challenge. And I said to Jim, like the owner of the Voodoos, I was like, what is this? And he goes, you should apply, put your name in, just see what happens. It's like, all right. So I put my application in, and that was probably like late April. And then I forgot about it, like just completely gapped it. And I was hanging out at Jim's house one day in like the June, and I was working on some stuff, getting ready for the Voodoos season. And it just kind of occurred to me, oh yeah, I applied for this World Junior A Challenge thing. Like, I guess I should ask how that's going. So I yelled up to Jim and I was like, Jim, it's the middle of June. I applied for this thing like a month and a half ago. Am I at least going to be told no, sorry, like you didn't get it? And he goes, well, I've known for about a couple of weeks now, but you have to promise me not to say anything, but pack your bags. And I was like, well, it's in December. I'm not packing my bags now, but thank you very much. So it was funny. He swore me to secrecy because they were doing like a press release or something a couple weeks later, like early July. Like I didn't even tell my mother. Like I had to keep my mouth shut about the whole thing. And then Mark Grady, who was our director of operations for Team East, he called me beginning of July and offered it to me, and I graciously accepted it. And then the press release came out. I want to say mid-July, something like that. And we had our selection camp in Cornwall in the early August, and things sort of, we had, things got rolling. We had a few meetings with staff here and there, like maybe once a month, just to make sure logistically we were all good. And then the roster got released and away we went.
That's such a Jim way to do it too. Like that's so amazing.
Yeah, if you know Jim, you know that's a Jim way to do it. So
yeah, what a guy. It was like he cracks me up every time that like he always takes something that's just so ordinary and always goes the extra mile to make it special. Like that's what I appreciate about that man.
I've got all day for that man. Really, I really do.
Yeah, I could go on too, but I want to touch more on the 2019-20 season just because you and I both went through. Well, you went through it more, so I was there for every home game. But when we talked about that Blind River game, was that the game that Max got suspended from? The 9-0?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna have to have him on the podcast again. It's been a while since he's been on, so I think. Well, it'd be 3 years probably this February since we had him on. But I remember him telling me he was so excited because he thought the suspension lasted till Cochrane because he was going to go up to the buffet.
Where you're going with that, yeah. It's like if you're in the OHL and you like a coach gets suspended and one of the games is in like the Sioux or Saginaw with their media room. Like, you will be fine. Yeah, Cochrane would have been great to be suspended from.
Yeah, because I've never had the buffet there, but I heard it was like remarkable. So. But the few times that I've been in Cochrane, it was just like I was just at the concession stand and got my popcorn and went and sat down and watched the game. So,
right.
But now you can't even go to Cochrane for a game. So,
I have a feeling there will be a team back there one day. I'm sure. It seems like Iroquois Falls. I think this is their second or third time with the team.
Yeah.
That rink in Cochrane and that whole facility is just too nice to not have a junior hockey team there. So
yeah,
I wouldn't hold your breath. I'm sure there will be a junior A team back there in the next 5 years.
Everybody that I know that has played in that rink is like, oh, it's so awesome. They got heated floors in the dressing room and everything. Like it's pretty crazy considering when you think about Cochrane, it's not that big. It's really out of the way. Like it's just kind of wild that that's what they have going on for them up there.
Yeah. It's like a brand new, gorgeous facility, like you said, in the middle of nowhere. And Ryan Leonard, Lenny, did a great job running that team there. And the buffet was phenomenal.
Yeah. I could, I should, I kind of missed my calling on that one. But again, we kind of touched on it a little bit, so we might as well, like I said, dive into it. The Timmins Rock. I didn't like seeing them come to town. I didn't like seeing them on the scoreboard. I think my favorite moment of that season was when Greg scored the overtime winner in Timmins and just skated right off the ice. Yeah.
That was sorry. Yeah. That was the very first game we played them that year. That was the 3-3. And, you talk about the Timmins Rock and Powassan Voodoos rivalry from that year. It's funny how much those two teams hated one another. I did not hate anyone specifically on that team, nor do I think any of them hated. Well, maybe they did. I can't speak for them, but I know for example, their head coach, Corey Beer, great guy. I've got all day for Corey Beer. I worked with him with Team East. Great hockey guy, great person, awesome guy. I wanted to beat the crap out of his team every time we played them. And you know what? It kind of stemmed back to like the whole Powassan Timmins rivalry started really during the 16-17 season when the Voodoos won the championship. We swept them in the playoffs in the conference final. And I remember in game 4, we were up like 6-1 with like 8 minutes left or something like that. And our goaltender, Nate McDonald, that year was another really, really good goaltender and ended up being the NOJHL MVP that year. And I remember their team captain goes up to him like as the play's going down towards their end and like skates across our blue line and just two hands Nate on the pads. And like it obviously didn't hurt him because it was on his goalie pads, but like so Razor, like Scott Ray was our head coach, puts our other goalie in for like the last 6 minutes, and we ended up beating them and sweeping them. But like that, to me, that moment there was sort of like the defining moment of when the rivalry really kicked off. And then the following year, we ended up with another really good season. We finished first in the league. We were rated 4th in the CJHL standings. But unfortunately, going down the stretch, our coach got fired, some players left, things started falling apart. And even though we did finish that season with 45 wins, going into the playoffs, it was just like, it was a different feeling. And we ended up getting Timmins it was technically the second round because they finished 4th, Hearst finished 5th that year, or vice versa. So they played each other in a best of 3, and the winner of that played us in a best of 7. And they ended up, beating us 4-2. And, good for them. Don't take anything away from them at all. Like the fact that a team with, I think they maybe had 22 or 23 wins that year and, lost every game they played to us that year, turned around and beat us 4 out of 6 games in the playoffs that year is a tremendous feat, like absolutely unbelievable. All I'm saying is if certain players didn't leave after the deadline and our coach's off-ice behavior that year was a bit better, that didn't result in him losing his job, that doesn't happen. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen. And it was kind of blown out of proportion a little bit in the sense that, to this day, I think on the Timmins Rock Twitter account, one of their pinned tweets.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It might be different now because they won the Noj last year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that it's their championship photo from last year, but for the longest time, they had that goal pinned up on the top of their Twitter page, which, I mean, hey, you tell me.
Yeah, it's the final seconds of the game that they clinched the championship last year.
Right, rightfully so. But yeah, so I think, I know it bothered me. It lived rent-free in my head for a few years that tweet was pinned up there. And
yep.
I know it bothered a few people as well. And, so the 18-19 year, I wasn't with Powassan, I was with the Battalion. And then the 19-20 year, just the rivalry seemed to really heat up because Timmins had been building for the last 3 years and they had a really good team. And then Powassan had been building for the last year under Max Gavin, and we had a really good team. We just seemed to, like, in my opinion, that year, we had the better goalie and the better forwards. Timmins had the better defense. And it just, like, they had really good defense. We had really good forwards, but the difference was Owen Say. And, they were clearly frustrated whenever they played us and they couldn't beat us. And everything was just kind of building up towards playoffs because everyone just anticipated that the Eastern Conference final was going to be the number 1 Powassan Voodoos versus the number 2 Timmins Rock. And, I have a lot of stories from that year that I could probably ramble on about on here, but I won't, about things that happened off the ice between the two teams. But, you mentioned social media at the start of this interview. And, it's funny you bring that up because on Twitter, both the Timmins Rock hockey account, like their account on Twitter, and one of their super fans, every time like Powassan would lose a game or something went off with the Voodoos, someone would tweet about it. And every time the Timmins Rock tweeted something thing about us, I printed it off and posted it up in our dressing room every time we were playing the Rock, and it was just extra motivation for the boy, and it worked every time. The only 2 times I didn't post up Twitter remarks from the Timmins Rock account in our dressing room was the 2 losses that we had to them. So, like I remember when we lost 9-0 to Blind River, one of their super fans, made some comment on Twitter. I can't exactly remember what it was, but printed it off. Thank you very much. Put it on. And then I remember there was another loss we had. It was against the Sioux Thunderbirds when Owen was in net. And we lost that game. So Timmins was ahead of us in the standings for something like that. And they tweeted out something like, "Oh, say it ain't so," like trying to make a play on words about Owen's last name. They're like, "Oh, say it ain't so. The Timmins Rock are now in first place." Printed off. Thank you very much. In the dressing room, the next time we played the Rock, we beat them like 4 or 5-1. So social media is a very powerful tool. And, I so wanted to just tweet out at them, "You idiots need to stop tweeting things because you're just giving us motivation." But I just kept my mouth shut, kept printing off all of their stuff that they posted, and it seemed to work.
I just remember you and I had talked about it at some point about having, I can't remember exactly what it was, but something to do with, because of the pin video that they had at the time, obviously, like we mentioned, the Rock beating the Voodoos that one year. I remember we talked about doing something, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe it's not podcast friendly. I can't remember because we had the Voodoos Twitter account at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely don't remember that, but it sounds like something I would have talked about because I know it pissed me off that they still had that video pinned to the top of their profile like 8 years later. But
yeah. No, I just remember that, but that was the thing that was wild about it. You talk about, the forwards being better and Owen Say being better, and then their defense being, probably on paper, probably the better one, and on the ice, I would say, not by much. Like, we're splitting hairs when we talk about these two teams, because when you look at like Timmins goaltending, Tyler Masternak was having, if Owen Say wasn't the goalie that year, Tyler Masternak was the goalie in the NOJHL that year. Like, he was the guy.
Oh, without a doubt. And you know what? The thing about those two is, like, I know Tyler Masternak because he played for Powassan for a time. I think he was there with us for a couple of months. And great kid, very respectful, very polite. Whenever I asked him for help with something, he would always do it. Like, I've got nothing bad to say about Tyler Masternak. But I think Owen had the higher save percentage. Tyler had the lower goals against average. Owen was like, what'd you say he was, 1.90? And I think Tyler was like 1.6 something, or
I can tell you in just a moment. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, 2 very, very good goalies, that's for sure.
Let's find out. Tyler Masternak. That was the thing that, like, I remember talking to Chris at the time. He's like, he's like, oh, he's the one that got away. I was like, but then you made up for it by finding a guy. Like, I mean, but then again, that's what's wild about Owen Say is that he was a walk-on, right? Like, we're going back to that part, but like, that's the thing where it worked out where, you lost it on Tyler Masternak, but you got Owen Say. He had a 1.66 goals against average.
So Tyler had the lower goals against average. Owen had the higher save percentage. And like, I mean, just 2 very good goaltenders, like, without a doubt.
And then the COVID season, because I remember that I forgot about the league trying to limp through that a little bit. I remember you guys were trying to get going and it just never worked out, but he had a 146 in 16 games.
And you know what? Like, I like to say, like, that 1920 season was ours and there was no one that was going to touch us. And you know what? I'm not stupid, nor am I naive. That following season, if it were to have been played, the 20 to 21 season, that was Timmins' year. Yeah. And, that's not to shoot down any other teams within the league. But, like, I know Blind River always has a really good program with Kyle Brick. I mean, they're doing phenomenal this year. And speaking of good goaltenders, I forget the kid's name that's there now. Noah something, I forget. I saw it the other day when I was scrolling through Twitter, but what a season that kid's having. He's got like 3 shutouts and a really high save percentage and really low goals against average. Like, how this kid didn't make Team Canada East this year, I have no idea, but he's having a phenomenal year in Blind River. But anyway, I digress. Back to my original point, like, that the following season would have been Timmins for sure. I mean, they would have had so many returnees coming back, and I know we would have been pretty depleted from guys from the year before that would have been moving on to the next level kind of thing. So As much as I do like to brag about 1920 being ours, 20 to 21, had it been played, would have been the Rocks.
I'm just quickly going through the Rocks roster, and there's some impressive players here like Jason Dixon, Derek Sagan, Josh Anderson, Ty Gilberts, Riley Robitaille, Riley Brasso, and then Masternak, his backup that year, Vance Meyer, had a 1.80 goals against average and a 919 save percentage. So it's just, both those teams were built, like you said, the Rock the next year. Because, I mean, you think about the players that the Voodoos are going to lose, Greg, Parker, there's your two guys up front. Owen probably wasn't going to be around another year. Stuff like that where you're losing a lot of guys. And that's such as a cycle of junior hockey. That's just how it goes. But, man, it would have... I remember at the beginning of the pandemic when everything was starting to shut down, and I wasn't mad about the fact that, I can't go out and do stuff. But I was mad that opportunity was taken from that team.
That would have been one hell of a playoff run. The series against Timmins would have just been unbelievable. That pandemic just crushed so many dreams, not just for the 1920 Voodoos, but for probably hockey teams all across North America.
Yeah.
And, I get sad just thinking about it because those kids were robbed. They were robbed, and it's just really, it's too bad. It is too bad.
Yeah, I remember that the letter that Max wrote out and sent out, that was really heartbreaking to read. And then a couple of months later, his resignation letter, oh, come on. The hits just keep coming here.
Oh, and you know what? He told me he was leaving. We were golfing. Josh, Max, and I were golfing, and he hit a really nice shot, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm moving on." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thanks." Yeah, I know it's hard to believe he hit a good shot in golf. Sorry.
No, that's good. What a way though, because that's the only thing you could do during the pandemic was golf. So here you are actually doing something fun. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm out. See ya."
Yeah. I think he moved to Barrie and took a job out of hockey until hockey was back, and now he's doing really well down at Dartmouth. He's an assistant coach with the women's team down there, and he's to this day, him and I only talk periodically, but I love that guy. If I got married tomorrow, I'd ask him to be in my wedding party. He's phenomenal. He
messaged me actually recently. He texted me, he wished me a happy birthday, and I was like, I haven't the last time I probably talked to you was probably last year for my birthday. But I appreciate that, man. It's still nice to have that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But it's always kind of nice when you make that connection, and they're the guy's just genuine enough that he still reaches out after all this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever I've spoken to him, we pick up we left off. It was just the other day, and I just no shots at any other coaches I've worked with. They were all fantastic, but Max is my favorite that I've ever worked for. So he wasn't my boss or my coach. He was a friend, even when we were at the rink, and I really appreciated that out of him.
I remember I was talking about this with Chris the other day, because I wasn't really around because of off ice drama and stuff, but I didn't really hang around the year that Mark was there. And the few times I hung out with Mark and we went out, I had wings with him twice, and great guy, absolutely great guy, nothing against him.
Good guy. Yeah.
And best, and honestly, I can say Peter Goulet is a golden human being. He's a great person. Love being around him and all this stuff. But I said to Chris, I was like, there was just something about Max, and I think it was because we're closer in age that we just clicked, kind of thing, where go out for lunch or something, or we did a weekly column for the Voodoos all the time, and he was always just he would call me when are we doing this? Come on, let's go, kind of thing. So it was always good to get around with Max and stuff. And like you said, he was just a genuine guy. One thing I wanted to bring up though from that season, kind of talking about the friendship kind of thing. I know we do have an explicit rating, but are we allowed to talk about FTFT?
Yes, we can talk about FTFT. I am going to word it in a way that does not throw anyone else under the bus.
That's fair.
Would you like me to explain what FTFT is?
Yes, to those uninitiated.
So, FTFT means fold the fucking towels. Where that originated from was Max Gavin's first year as head coach in Powassan was the year I was with the North Bay Battalion full time. And the Voodoos had like an exhibition game in Pembroke. And the trainer that replaced me was on the bench for that game. And the Voodoos are down like 3-0 in the first 5 minutes of this game. And this trainer goes up to Max and says in his ear, "Hey, maybe you should tell the D to step up a little bit." And like, whenever I hear this story, it's like, that's like unfathomable that a trainer would go and tell his head coach like how to coach his team or like strategy or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So Max turns and looks at him and goes, "Hey buddy, why don't you worry about just folding the fucking towels?" So when I came back to Powassan the following year, Max, knowing that is something I would never do in a million years, is like go up to him in a game and be like, "Hey Max, maybe you should tell the defense to step up a bit."
Yeah.
He says your hashtag, because you're so good at folding towels, is FTFT. So you can just FTFT. So whenever he was frustrated with me about something and just wanted me to like give him some space, he'd be like, "JH, FTFT." And okay, sorry. Like,
That was one of my favorite things to come out of that year off the ice. That was so good.
oh yeah, that was good. And you know what? It's been an ongoing joke ever since, because even Game Day Steve even texts me FTFT every so often now. So, and it's funny. The team I'm with now, I've told all my coaches here that story, and they tell me to FTFT. So it's kind of made its way.
It's gone cross country. That's great.
It has.
Speaking of Game Day Steve, really good to hear that he's doing better, according to Jim. That was nice of him to give an announcement there before one of the Voodoos games. But I know I reached out to him just before Christmas there and was talking to him a little bit. But yeah, it was a little touch and go there. So good to hear him he's on the mend, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a very good guy. And if anyone deserves to completely recover and be healthy again, it's that man.
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to get your opinion on this before we go here, because we went to it a couple of times, and that was like the thing to do during that portion of the pandemic because we couldn't. What is your gun to head? We seem to have this kind of debate on the podcast a lot. Gun to head favorite James Bond movie?
Skyfall.
Yeah?
Skyfall.
That was very quick, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's quick because Skyfall is the greatest James Bond movie ever made. It's the highest earning revenue James Bond movie of all time. And in my top 5 movies of all time, Skyfall is number 1.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so Skyfall. I went to theaters and watched it 6 times when it came out in 2012. You can cut this part out of the podcast if you would like to.
Nope, that's staying in. Sorry, JJ. You're being thrown under the bus.
Now, you know what? People already in North Bay already know how much of a loser I can be. So,
oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, because I think I saw No Time to Die at least twice with you.
Yeah, I only went to theaters twice to see that, and it was with you both times, and yeah, that was good. But just Skyfall was just, and you know what? Skyfall in a way ruined the James Bond franchise because it had the expectation for all the future movies up here. Yeah. And nothing's going to catch it ever. So in a way, like every movie after Skyfall, every Bond movie after Skyfall is going to be like down here. It's not going to even come close to touching it. So
I'm a Casino Royale guy, but that's just because I've seen Skyfall so many damn times, like that. I'm just kind of, I know what's coming. I know all the twists and turns. I mean, I know what's coming with Casino Royale too, because I've seen it so many times, but there's just something about it that I love.
I really like Casino Royale as well. It's probably my second favorite Bond movie. It's
just so good. But that's the thing I feel like Spectre and No Time to Die kind of get the bad rap because, like you said, Skyfall ruined, the following movies, because Spectre itself's not bad and No Time to Die is pretty good. So
yeah, and Quantum of Solace, it was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but thankfully that one came up before Skyfall, so your expectations were like, I guess it's going to be like around here, and then Skyfall's like, now we're up here now.
Skyfall was just like it was so good. I remember the first time I went and saw it was with my girlfriend at the time, and she hadn't seen Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, so she couldn't really follow the storyline that well, and she was asking me questions throughout the movie, which was fine, but I couldn't really focus on it as well. And then I went and watched it by myself 5 more times in theaters. So probably a reason why I no longer have a girlfriend is because I do things like this. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, well, that's okay. You always have James Bond.
That's right.
But that was the other thing too with the pandemic, because I remember we talked about that in season, being like, oh, we're going to go see No Time to Die, right? Like it was like, yeah. And then it got pushed back. And then finally we were able to go see it. But no, that was a good time. Anyways, JJ, I don't want to take up any more time because I know how busy your schedule can be just from seeing it with the Voodoos. So I will say I really appreciate you coming on the podcast this week. It's always good to catch up with you.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great to see your sparkling face again. And yeah, don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, JJ.
Okay, you take care.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Barry! Huh? I told you not to be scaring the customers.
Hey, Barry! Come on in for a bite. And bring Brianna with you.
For only 2 minutes up the hill, where you're only a stranger once.
Ready to embark on an electrifying adventure? Look no further than the Mitsubishi Outlander, available in gas or PHEV, the SUV that redefines excellence. Recently awarded the best midsize utility vehicle in Canada for 2023 by AJAC. This bold and sophisticated SUV delivers advanced performance, safety, and tech, plus peace of mind with its standard super all-wheel control and the best warranty in the business. With red-hot deals and plenty in stock, your award-winning drive starts with the Mitsubishi Outlander.
Why is Northern Honda servicing more cars of all makes and models? Let's count the ways. 1. Our state-of-the-art facility has award-winning technicians. 2. Northern Honda has the lowest tire price guarantee, no matter what you drive. 3. The lowest synthetic oil change guarantee, and every 5th oil change is free for all makes and models. Plus, new Honda buyers get brake pads for life. See the service difference at Northern Honda, 1250 Seymour beside Home Depot.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
And a huge thank you to Mr. J.J. Johnson from the former Powassan Voodoo trainer extraordinaire and now plying his craft out in BC. Always fun to catch up with him and discuss old rivalries with the Powassan Voodoos and reminisce about the season that should have ended in championship. But of course, a little known thing called COVID had to stick its ugly head in the middle of that. Kassie, I teased earlier that we were going to throw you under the bus. So here we go. Are you ready?
No.
You missed last week's episode. in which Harrison got thrown under the bus for this.
Oh, God. Okay.
He's really happy about it. How would you rate your playing in floor hockey this time around?
Oh, not that good.
Why do you say not that good?
Because I didn't get a goal. So
No,
not that
that's
good.
true. It's because Ben wasn't in net this time.
I know. I'm so mad about that.
But also,
In fairness, I was in net, and we went over, I think it was like 20 minutes of how poor my play was. So
Yeah.
there is no excuse.
that's true. Harris is just burying you here. Like, what a guy. He's burying you by burying himself.
Yeah.
Didn't I shoot against Matt? I thought I was.
No,
you were on Matt's team.
Yeah.
Oh.
Were you aiming for Matt the whole game?
No, I meant in the shootout. I meant in the shootout.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
no,
in the shootout.
well, the
Okay.
I was
shootout
talking
where,
the
which you
shootout.
don't have the video yet. Sorry, Chris Dawson. I know
He's been wanting
he's
it.
like harassing Harrison at this point.
I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm sorry.
Harrison thought that he was, when he accepted the job of social media and content and stuff, he's like, yeah, life's going to be grand for me. No.
What life?
Yeah, exactly. Life has eroded away for Harrison.
My life is loading bars. It's fine.
At least you have a new computer for it.
That's true. That does help.
With excuse me, I was gonna say with a really nice keyboard that lights up. It's RGB, baby.
The desktop says caution, high frame rate zone. It's for gamers.
Ooh. You killed producer Ben.
Oh no, we need him.
Kind of. Sometimes.
Do we?
Oh, catching shade down there. I love it. No, yeah, that's it. Looks like your phone's lost forever. But no. Okay, so you're shooting on Matt in the shootout. Yeah, but did you think you were shooting on Matt in the games?
No. I know
Okay.
I was shooting on Harrison.
Did you not score in the games or?
No.
So you didn't score at all
No, I did. I did one. I did.
in the games?
Yeah, I shot it all the way across court and it went in behind Harrison somehow.
Is that? Oh yeah, it's one of the ones that hopped over my stick that I didn't get in front of. I know that doesn't narrow it down at all. That doesn't narrow it down at all. But yes, that is what happened. Yes.
Okay, so technically I did get a goal, but I didn't get a goal in the shootout, which is what I was aiming for.
Yeah, but you scored the mic drop goal last time around in the shootout though.
That's true.
That's true.
I guess we'll just have to do it again then. We'll put Ben back in net.
Yes. I will definitely get a goal if he's back in net.
He's just shaking his head down there.
I don't want to play in net anymore.
Harrison was like riding high off the first go around, and then this time he's just like, no, confidence shaking.
Nope, not doing that again. Unless nobody else wants to play net again, in which case I will do it again because I still want to have fun with my friends.
I would happily go in net again. It's just I knew that time I was like, no, Harrison was pretty good last time. Let's put him back in net.
Yeah.
And then Matt hopped in, and I was very surprised by that. And Matt did a very good job.
Matt did so much better.
Maybe that's just the tail of it. We'll put Matt in net again, and you'll be good again.
No, it just swaps.
Yeah, the talent just saps away.
We got to use like a puck this time. Just keep changing what sort of object we're using. We used a foam ball the first time, a tennis ball this time.
Is that the excuse, the tennis ball?
And yeah, that's the one I'm going with this time. Next time, we'll see what it is that I choose to blame on. But
My favorite, though, was Matt had like a trapper from like the 50s.
Oh.
That was good.
Matt had equipment through time.
Yeah.
It was trapper from the 50s, and then, what was it, an OHL warm-up jersey. And then it was just like some huge pads.
Yeah.
That was more modern. It was just an amalgamation.
Well, those pads, though, were the pads used last time.
Oh, that's
It was
true.
the same pads. My favorite thing with you, though, was Chris gave you like the biggest jersey in the world. So you looked like you had like flaps under your arms where you're like, I shot the ball twice and you missed it, but it got in the flap and just died.
My arm flaps made more saves than I did as a person. It was much better. It was not good. It was not a good look, but hey, they were way more effective at making saves than I was.
You should have just thrown them in front of everything.
Yeah, I should have just taken it off, pinned it to the top of the net, and stood out of the net, and it would have been more effective.
He kind of looked like a flying squirrel with them.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of thinking of, but I was like, I lost what animal it is. Yeah. Have you ever been to Science North when they bring out the flying squirrels? Those are cool.
I haven't seen the flying squirrels, but I've been to Science North a couple times.
Yeah, okay. So, like, Science North is just great to go to in general, but they'll have like in that like theater upstairs where they have like they had like flying squirrels out one time. They would like bring someone from the audience where the flying squirrel would like jump to them And it's like, I don't know how I'd feel about that, but it's still pretty cool.
I don't know. I guess the flying squirrels are newer because last time I went, they didn't have them.
When did you go last?
Like grade 6.
Oh, wow.
When we did like a whole
So it's been a while. You got to go back to
night.
Science North.
Eh.
Eh.
I don't got the time because the only time I go to Sudbury is when I have a tournament or games, and I don't got the time to go.
You got to change that up. Go back to everyone here on this podcast loves Sudbury.
I do like Science North.
Like
last time I went to Science
North. Like the Big Nickel.
I do. We like the Big Nickel.
Yeah.
We love the Big. Hi, please don't kill me for the photo.
That was the funniest. So when we went there for the NOGH, did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you've told me it twice.
Okay, well, it's just a great story. I still have the photo on my phone, and it's right next to the original one. So
I need to change that to my background instead of Ben Long. Ben Long is currently my phone background because of a wonderful photo I got.
That you won in the game.
Yes. I think I have it with me. Anyway.
It's a great photo of Ben that we love here on the podcast. I used it when it was his birthday last year. I was like, happy birthday. I posted on social media on the Frontline. I was like, happy birthday to our guy who runs IT technically for us. This guy with the face
is Ben. And then there's Happy Birthday Boy Mike in the background.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah. So, well, we might as well get into the real games. The games in which Kassie definitely didn't score because she wasn't out on the ice for. The look.
What do you... Oh.
No, I'm just saying you didn't score on these ones.
No.
It'd be weird if you did.
Yeah, if you did, you probably would have helped, actually. So we'll go through the North Bay's OHL team here first. And the first game, I got the fortune of being on the Sudbury Wolves broadcast. And the Wolves winning 5-4 in this one. And again, we won't spend too much time on it because the after-action report does a much better job on that. Shootout victory for the Wolves. Dalibor Dvorsky scores his 24th of the season midway through the first. David Goyette with his 27th. David Goyette's just so deadly. Late in the first, you're kind of thinking, oh no, like North Bay needs to have a big second period here. Well, the big second period they do is almost 6 minutes in. Owen Van Steensel gets his 21st. And then literally 19 seconds later, they score again. Jacob Therrien with an absolute snipe. And then Owen Van Steensel again with his 22nd. To give the battalion the 3-2 lead at that point. However, it didn't last very long in the third period as Quinton Musty had something to say about that, and that was 59 seconds in. The battalion pulling ahead again, Jacob Therrien with his 17th, and then Coach Adelich tying things up late in that one, and then the Wolves going 2 for 6 on the short shootout, and North Bay going 1 for 6 in the shootout. Ty Nelson getting the lone goal there, which is relevant considering the situation that the battalion find themselves in now with Ty Nelson. But anyways, it was good to see him score a goal in that one and come back. And yeah, just not a good time when the troops fall to the Wolves. But again, when you pick up at least 1 point, it's not the end of the world. We'll move on to the next game before we talk about them as a whole because we might as well. They're the same score in both nights. Both things happen. This time it's in Sudbury, where the Big Nickel is, where Science North is. All that fun stuff. This time, again, a 5-4 victory for the Wolves in overtime. However, North Bay had a 3-0 lead to start this one. Dallin Wakely with his 22nd, followed by Liam Arnsby with his 7th, Justin Ertl with his 16th, and again, 3-0 battalion in the first period. And then 2 minutes after that, the Wolves showing some life as David Goyette scores. Quinton Musty halfway through the second brings it to within a goal as 23rd, and then Coach Adelich with his 16th towards the end of the second, tying things up at 3-3. And you just know it's rocking at the Sudbury Community Arena at that point. We've been there. We know how loud it gets. And then in the third period, 1 minute and 15 seconds, Sandis the Mandis Vilmanis, his 13th of the season, puts the battalion up. And then Nathan Villeneuve, his 12th. And then Dalibor Dvorsky, 19 seconds into overtime. I think the game that you and I were at, Harrison, Quinton Musty scored like 10 seconds into overtime. This one's 19 seconds. Dvorsky puts it away for the Wolves. So altogether, big 4 points for the Wolves, although the battalion pick up 2, so really the Wolves only separate themselves by 2 points from the battalion in this chase. But still, if you're the battalion, you're probably looking at things and saying, these are big points that we left on the table, Harrison.
Yep, they're big games, and Sudbury always seems to have the troops' number whenever it comes to overtime. I don't think the battalion have beaten the Wolves this year in overtime or a shootout or any sort of extra
many
inning.
teams in overtime.
That's true. And I think most of the times Ethan Procession's been the guy to bury the hatchet. So I don't know if Procession was in this
No, I don't,
game.
I don't think he played at all this weekend.
Okay. But all in all, like the home game for the troops was a fairly back and forth one. It looked pretty good overall. I didn't get a chance to see the away game at all because we were covering the Espanola game, which we'll get into shortly. But Jacob Terrian had some really nice shots. Jacob Terrian always has some really nice shots, especially when he's connecting with Ertl. And as we said, we have the full breakdown on the After Action report, so check that out. But yeah, Sudbury just seems to be a team that the troops can't get a handle on this year. It's always a close game. It's always a close one. But especially in the later half of this season, they can't seem to close it out.
Yeah, the Wolves now winning 3 straight, and I believe the victory for the Wolves on the Thursday was the first win in North Bay in just over 2 years.
That's true, because the last time they were in town, it was, I believe, like a 6-4 victory or something like that after the Wolves started to come behind in the third period, and the battalion were able to close that out. Mike ended up...
it was Charlie.
Charlie was starting that one, I believe. And then
maybe you're right.
In the third period, Mike McIver had to come in and close that one out.
I don't remember how things happened anymore.
Because that was shortly after Dom had to go on the leave for the injury, and then it was those two. And then in the third period, Charlie had to go out as well. Or Charlie got pulled, actually, and then Mike closed it out.
Kassie, as a hockey player, you touched on going to tournaments in Sudbury. How is there any kind of rivalry between you guys and teams in the Sudbury area, like there is with the OHL, like there is with the NOJHL type of thing?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely rivalries. Like I'm sure there's rivalries for like basketball teams and volleyball teams. I'm sure just like North Bay and Sudbury. It's just no matter what sport you're playing, you're gonna have that rivalry.
Does it kind of get you more amped to play those games against Sudbury, like when you know it's a rivalry game like that?
Yeah, it really does. It gets you more motivated, and you're kind of like out for blood when you play. So,
I'm here for it. Let's go.
I don't know. They're just Sudbury players. I hate them.
Yeah,
I hate them.
Tell us how you really feel.
What do you?
No, I'm just. No, that's great. I'm here for it because. Last week with Caden Dubroy on the podcast, he's from Sudbury, so got my good ribbings in on Sudbury, and I continuously have to get good ribbings in on Sudbury considering my situation. So, yeah, it's always a good time when North Bay can take down Sudbury. Of course, we just mentioned they didn't in this one. Also, just wanted to say this came up for those following the 2018 scandal. Michael McLeod has officially been charged with sexual assault. Just came up while we're recording this. So, also the worst kept secret in hockey, Alex Formenton going in, right? Everyone kind of knew he was at the head of things when that all started, but we'll try and keep things light here on the podcast. But I just wanted to say that as we're recording that those news dropped down. Pretty wild stuff going on with Hockey Canada. Sorry, Harrison, you keep looking at me, so I don't know if you had something to add to that.
Nope, just being an attentive listener.
That's fair. You're really good at that.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Say more. Yes, and. Improv. Yes, and. Am I doing this right?
No.
Okay.
You sound like that weird person on TikTok. That's like really weird. It's like,
those people doing like NPC stuff. Like not. Yeah. No, I try and avoid that.
No, Cassie, I think, agrees with you. She's shaking her head.
What?
Yeah, you were shaking your head with Harrison, so I was saying
no.
No.
Yes.
You're not a fan of that?
No. Absolutely not.
It's funny because I got a notification from TikTok today. I'm never on TikTok. Like I'm never. And I just like, oh, this app's still on my phone. I forgot about that. Hey, follow the Frontline on TikTok though. It's pretty good.
Please do.
Harrison's pretty good with it. He's pretty good with his account too. Because a few times I am on, I have like 10 videos to like watch, and it's always like something about the power rankings, and I love it.
Yeah, I need to make one once I get home tonight. I've been slacking. They're actually not too bad this week.
I haven't even looked at them, to be honest with you.
Saginaw pulled into first. North Bay dropped down one. The Sioux pulled up a couple of spots into the top 3. So it's kind of just a Western shuffle at the top, as it kind of has been in the last half. And then Niagara fell off. Rest in peace. Not too much has changed.
Anyways, moving on to Sunday's game. in which North Bay's OHL team took a big victory over the Barrie Colts 7-1. What a game there, as Anthony Romani scoring late in the first, and then it just became like a trick or like a waterfall for the battalion in that first period. Again, late, there's only 3 minutes and 59 seconds left on the clock, to be precise. Romani with his 37th. Bryce Cook with an absolute snipe 22 seconds later in the high slot with a one-timed attempt. Dallin Wakely pouncing on a loose puck that was behind Ben West to round things out. There was only 19 seconds left on the clock at that point. So 3-0 battalion after the first period. Then in the second, the Colts show some life 3 minutes in, getting a puck past Mike McIver, Cole Beaudoin with his 20th, then Romani with his 38th, Van Steensel with his 23rd, and Sandus the Mandus Vilmanis with his 14th, putting the troops up 6-1 heading into the third period. And one of the funniest things to me is that Bronson Ride did the interview on Your TV during the second intermission, and one of his basically with the thing he said is, we don't need to score any more goals. We just need to defend. And then he goes and throws the puck on net late in the third period, and Jacob Terrien gets the rebound and scores.
Nice. Yeah. Well, hey, just because you don't need to doesn't mean that you're not going to try.
Yeah.
And certainly holding on to the 7-1 lead here before this game going, not picking up a single game against Barrie. And the only other shootout appearance that the battalion had in the first game of the season against the Colts. So I'm sure this one felt good.
As Chris Dawson said in the post-game scrum, and as he said to me as well, and put it in my article as well, as very refreshing win for the battalion in a game in which they only allow a goal. And I mean, Kassie, I don't need to tell you, but he scores 7 goals and they score 1. You're probably winning that game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on to the NOJHL as we depart our OHL segment here. The Voodoos in one of the most entertaining games of the season, I would say, winning 5-4, myself and Harrison Clements with the call on that one. Kassie, of course, taking that one in as well. And it was literally Lucas Signoretti versus Wraith Smith.
Yeah,
essentially.
How often do we see, we'll get into the scoring here, but 2 hat tricks in the same game? It was awesome.
Starting things out 10 seconds in, there's a new Voodoos goalie in that too as well, Patrick Charette. And this is 10 seconds into his very first shot on goal. It bounces off Signoretti, goes in the back of the net.
Yep.
Can't start any more rough than that.
It is what it is. It's unfortunate, but they do bounce back.
Literally said on the broadcast in between that and then the next goal coming at $1.50 into the first, I literally said, wow, there's no Voodoos players with 20 goals. The closest being Matthew McMillan with 19. Well, Wraith Smith got his 18th, and then Wraith Smith got his 19th. And it's 2-1 Voodoos all of a sudden. Oh, just kidding. Lucas Signoretti, midway through the third period, gets a power play goal. His 31st. Oh, just kidding again. Lucas Signoretti with 6 seconds left on the clock finishes off the hat trick in the first period, and that's his 32nd of the season. And then guess what? 17-15 into the second period, Wraith Smith gets his 20th.
Yep.
And then in the third period, 3 or 4, just under 5 minutes in, Signoretti gets his 4th goal, his 33rd. Then Reese Smetham moments later with his 14th, and Alex Little with his 5th. And the thing that was wild about that was at the time there was a major set handed out to to Mason Rotundo. He got a major in a game, so there was a double minor, Liam McDonald getting roughing and unsportsmanlike conduct. So that ate up 4 minutes out of the 5, and then the Paper Kings had a minute power play. Lucas Signoretti, had just scored, so you felt that momentum squarely in the going to the Paper Kings here. Then Smetham scores to tie it. Then we get those crazy penalties. 20 seconds after those penalties are called, Captain Clutch Alex Little with his 5th of the season to give the Voodoos the game winner.
Yeah, and his 100th point.
Yeah.
Just what a game. There was so much speed between these two teams. A lot of really pretty passing plays and just complete offensive acumen from both of these teams. It was just a joy to watch. I hadn't been on the mic in a while, so maybe I got a little too excited on the mic, but I was just having so much fun watching this one. I love watching Espanola versus Powassan. It's probably my favorite matchup in the league right now because it may not be a direct classic rivalry like, Voodoos versus the Cubs, but hey, this one, it's always an entertaining game.
It is, and the thing about this one too was that again, back and forth, like you said. Signoretti got a bunch of goals. Wraith Smith getting a bunch as well, looking really good. Chase Thompson, 4 assists on the night too. So he was humming along pretty good. Quietly put up 4 assists too, because everybody's like looking at the 4 goals for Signoretti and 3 goals for Smith. Kassie, I know you made a great comment the one time about the Paper Kings white jerseys. What did you think of their navy blue jerseys with the highlighter green?
It's a little bit better. I think Harrison was talking about it in the actual.
Yeah, the broadcast.
Yeah. But it's still horrible. That neon green. Oh my gosh, ugly.
Yeah, it's bad. I think the thing I mentioned was the blue adds a bit of contrast, so it's not all just like white and green and just blinding in your face. So the blue gives your eyes a touch of rest before you go to the shoulders of the waistline and you're just blinded once again. But they are a bit better. It's a bold choice, I'll say.
It is.
I want to know who decided that was a great idea to put neon green.
It was the Paper King himself. It was the royal decree. Everyone must live in fear of us.
I don't know if it's fear, just like, oh, they're ugly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, stay away, they're ugly. I will say their old jerseys when they were the Espanola Express, those were neat. The stripes were railway tracks on the bottom of the jersey, and they were black. Black jerseys are a little weird in hockey. You don't see that too often, unless you're the Leafs now with the Justin Bieber jerseys, which I actually kind of really like. And Tampa Bay now with their silly new, I don't like their new thirds, but it is what it is. Kassie, you got to take this one in as well. You got to take in both games. What was your overall feeling on this one? Because, I mean, it's not very often you see a pair of hat tricks in the same game.
I thought it was definitely an interesting game to watch. Like, it was action-packed. Like Harrison said, it's a good, like, not I wouldn't say rivalry, but, like, it's fun to watch the teams compete. And hat tricks are always interesting to watch. I don't know. I'm not remembering much from that night, so. Well,
there's hat tricks. There you go. Boom.
2 hat tricks. And I just pulled up these Espanola Express sweaters. I do like those railroad tracks. Those are quite nice.
Yeah, they are.
They look a lot better than the ones they do have now.
Yeah, they do. They really do. There was something else I was going to say about us. Oh, no, lost it again. It was about Espanola. just like I'm not going to make that joke. That's really mean. I was going to say something about the town of Espanola, but I don't want anyone from Espanola coming at me with pitchforks right now. So that's a fair thing right now. We'll move on to the next night in a game in which really pissed me off.
Yep.
Is the best way to describe it. The Cubs winning 5-3. And it wasn't even just the game that pissed me off. It was stuff after the game that really pissed me off. And then there was something that happened during the game too that really pissed me off on top of the game. So I was just not having a good time here at this one. Hudson Chitteroni with his 24th, followed by former Wolf Ethan Larmau getting his 3rd. And we're like, oh, here we go. The Cubs are running away with it. It's 2-0 quickly. Wraith Smith continuing his torrid pace here with his 21st late in the first period. Then Michael McLean, yippee-ki-yay, welcome back, big defenseman with his 2nd of the season on the power play, tying things up. And then that was about as close as the Voodoos would get it, because then Hudson Martin with his 5th, Oliver Smith with his 33rd, and Nolan Newton, who's back from the Barrie Colts, scored 3 unanswered in a very short succession, just under 10 minutes. And now all of a sudden it's now 5-2 for the Cubs. And then in the final minute of the 3rd period, Zach Turner with his 10th. But that's not what I wanted to spend a lot of time on. I wanted to spend some time on, first off, we talked about Ty Nelson with the battalion and the scary incident there, which isn't great at all by any means. I mean, concussions are no laughing matter, and hopefully he's not out for a long time, and we hope that he has a speedy recovery. Heard some things about Wolves fans booing him as he went off the ice, because that's just how things go with rivalries. Still not a good look. So, of course, the battalion fan base is a little bit emotionally charged after losing their franchise defenseman. Well, guess what? Marshall McCharles gets laid out in a very clean hit. Very clean hit. I will say to somebody that is definitely disagreeing with me, look at the highlight. And no, I'm not a referee, but my question is, are you a referee? Clearly you're not. You're just somebody who's very emotionally charged on this. But anyways, we'll talk about that in your reporting some other time. So with that being said, Caden Dubroy hits Marshall McCharles clean hit, chest to shoulder, or shoulder to chest. It just happened to happen where there wasn't any boards right there.
Yep.
So Marshall goes flying into the boards. He's lying on the ice. Thoughts are like, Marshall's a great player. Hopefully he's going to get up, and he's just not moving. Somebody takes a photo of it and posts it in the North Bay Battalion fan club. That is tasteless. Absolute
trash.
Absolute
just
tasteless.
trash.
Yeah. That's not what you do. And then the caption was, well, we got Sudbury back tonight.
That's really disrespectful, especially as a hockey. Like, you don't deserve to be a hockey fan if you're doing that, honestly.
No. And that's, and if that person's listening here and they happen to not want to listen to this podcast anymore, I apologize, but that's just how it is. There's a line in the sand and you crossed it. It's the best way I can put it. Then Caden skates back to his bench, and Hudson Chitteroni chases him back to the bench, basically almost getting onto the bench. Mike McLean intervenes. Who gets the penalties, Harrison?
5-minute major to...
that can't be right, though.
Did they not correct that?
No.
Okay, so Mike McLean gets charged with a 5-minute major in a game misconduct. It was actually Dubois. He did not return to the game. We saw him in like the third period in his suit, and then McLean went on to serve the 2-minute, so it would be a good thing to get that 5-minute major and game misconduct changed somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
we'll have to bring that up to Chris at some point.
Dubois gets the 5, and I'm saying that for the rest of the one. Dubois gets the 5, and nothing else happens. There was no other penalties. It was just a 5-minute major against the Voodoos, and the Cubs just go on a 5-minute major.
Thankfully, they don't score.
They don't.
And that was actually a really good penalty kill. But
I guess you can just attack people at the bench now. I guess that's cool.
Yeah, basically walk right onto the Voodoos bench. Why not?
Yeah, that was the part that bothered me. Not that the 5-minute major, if you're going to do that and you weren't sure of the play and the player got hurt, yeah, that sucks. It looked like a clean hit. There's some world in which I can understand giving that 5-minute major out. Nothing for the retaliation at all. That's the part that bothers me, especially if you're right at the bench right there. You can't do that. That hasn't been acceptable since maybe the 70s in the NHL. So that's the part that really rustled my jimmies.
Hudson Chitteroni, though, picked up a double minor in the second for arguing a call, and then the Voodoos unfortunately couldn't score on that one. Mike McLean, it's really funny. If you look in the first period, again, served by Dawson, major in the game for charging. Then in the very beginning of the third, Mike McLean major in a game for head contact. So which one did he get kicked out of the game for?
Good cop, bad cop? I guess bad cop this game.
I get you're doing a job. I get it's a tough job, refereeing and stuff. And I'm sure, things are emotionally charged when you're on the ice. And I umpired baseball at a very minor league level. And, it's human error. It happens. The fuck you doing out there if you're not giving these guys a penalty for basically walking onto the Voodoos bench?
Yep. You cannot do that. You cannot do that.
It's just brutal.
Yeah. And just to lay this out there, we're not saying that's the reason the Voodoos lost this game.
No.
There was other factors, defensive breakdowns that led to this. They got scored against shorthanded. Did a call maybe lead to that being a penalty? Sure. That's not the reason they lost this game, but it did stand out like a very sore thumb.
There was the one call, though, where the Voodoos were finally getting momentum. That this is where like a linesman can affect a game. And I think you know exactly where I'm going with this one. And it's just the Voodoos are finally getting some momentum. And we're almost right at the Voodoos blue line where we are. I don't know who it was that skated over. It's deemed offside. And it's like, okay, you were splitting hairs here. Like, that was a pretty close call. Sure, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. The problem is on like 2 plays later, the Cubs go down the ice. Newton is very obviously offside, gets the puck, scores a goal.
Yep.
That's where it's like, okay,
come on.
If we're fine with the offside against the Voodoos.
Yep.
And they were on a rush. So it was a scoring chance for the Voodoos. We're fine with that being offside. It's when you don't do it for the other guys.
Yeah. It was the imbalance in how things were called.
Yeah.
that was the problem here.
Did you have any other things that you wanted to talk about when it comes to the referee? I don't know. You were just like...
No, it's just... Oftentimes when it's just like, oh, it's the refs, it's just like kind of belly aching, or it's kind of just complaining or excusing the way that the team that you really like played. That wasn't the case here. It wasn't the reason that they lost. And it sucks to lose against Sudbury. They haven't beat them since the showcase, which was an awesome game. And there will be another game between them very soon on the 2nd, I believe.
This week.
So that'll be an exciting one to watch out for. Always watch those games. But it was the way things were not unfairly imbalanced in the way that they were called, and especially when it comes to behavior on the bench, getting people involved on the bench. That's not a hockey play, however you're calling a penalty. That leads to safety issues, that leads to an imbalance of how people think they can get away with the game.
Yep.
And that's the part that got me heated, is it's a safety issue at that point. And if you're not even calling a minor on that, or not even really getting any discipline for that, that creates an imbalance, that creates an environment where even worse things can actually happen. And that's the part that got under my skin.
What's going to stop Chitteroni from doing it again?
Yeah, not even Chitteroni. Somebody from another team sees that play or is happening to catch that game that night. Maybe I can get away with that. Maybe someone messes with my guy and I can go do that.
Yeah. Like, he didn't actually step on the bench, but he did everything but step on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Kassie, you're nodding along here, so I'm just going to ask you a question as a player with the referee. When that starts to happen in a game that you're playing, and then you know that like you're not getting the calls go your way and the other team's getting the calls going their way, how does that feel? Like you're up against two teams kind of thing on the ice?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know refs don't like me a lot, so first of all, it always feels like that, but yeah, especially if they're like leaning towards the other side with your whole team, then yeah, it's just...
How many penalty minutes you got on the year, do you know?
I'm leading my team with 9 penalty minutes.
9?
So far.
Oh, that's not that much. Like
no, but compared to the others, are all at like 4 or 2, and I'm at 9.
What kind of penalties are you taking? Like tripping or hooking or like
body checking?
Was body checking like actually like a penalty in your league?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to stop hitting people.
It's not my fault. I mean,
it's not your fault. You're getting assessed the penalties.
Yeah, I'm just kind of focused on the puck, and I don't see the person there.
Got tunnel vision, eh?
Yeah.
At least you can genuinely say you're trying to play the puck at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you argue or you just go?
I don't really argue because I know it's going to give me a longer penalty, so I just hop in the box and I just deal with it.
Sit for your 2 minutes or less.
What?
I said you just sit for your 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was very frustrated with that game to the point that, you know, usually the fans around us and we don't not necessarily interact unless someone comes up and talks to us. I was like, I took the headset off and I was just like going off about it. And they were like turning around and being like, yeah, like, what's going on with that? And I'm like, I don't know. I wish I could tell you what's going on in the referee's head. That being said, though, from what I've heard, McCharles is fine. And and I'm really glad to hear that.
Yep.
Because again, it was just a freak incident that happened on a hockey play. Knowing Caden, it wasn't malicious. He's not that kind of person. It's not like he was going out there hunting for Marshall. We have the replay readily available for us for the people that think that I'm a referee. Where I was just talking about how Caden is, you know, a pretty good player and all this stuff. And when there wasn't a dirty hit. The puck is in front of them. They're both going for the puck. And it just so happens that one guy's going one way and the other one's going the opposite direction. They collide.
And that just happens in hockey. Like,
you
don't even notice it most of the time till it already happened.
Like to me, it was such a non-play that I moved on. And then next thing I know, there's a blue player on the ice, like laying there motionless. Like, and it was scary because he's not moving.
Yep. It took a while, but it was so good to see him get up with a bit of assistance, was able to walk off into the room. And for what we've heard, he's going to be okay. And that's so good to hear because it's a fast game and having more skilled players as a part of your league is always a good thing. and it'll be good that he's returned to the ice.
And that's the thing too that was unfortunate. And I said this on the broadcast. He just played one game after having a lengthy time off since an injury, right? Like, so it's good to see him come back, or hopefully be able to come back sooner rather than later. And I had heard, that was the other thing when people are losing their minds on social media about this whole thing, that he was feeling fine, like right away. So obviously, it was a serious incident, but obviously good news there. But just want to reiterate, don't take pictures of players when they're on the ice like that. Like, that's just not right.
Yeah, that's really messed up.
Yeah, it's just messed up. And then, like, think if it was you. Like, would you want someone taking a bad photo of you, like, hurt? And why is Ben laughing?
The only thing she cares about is, like, what the photo looks like.
No, that's not what it is. Sorry, Kassie. I was appreciating what you were saying. And then producer Ben down there just being producer Ben.
He just ruins it.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Welcome to my life since I've been like 6 years old.
Yeah.
Nice going,
What a
Ben.
guy. He used to be a really good goalie in road hockey, though, I will say. You guys are laughing, but he was really good.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not laughing because I know I'm trash.
Harrison, you're not trash.
I will not pass judgment.
You were better than him in ball hockey, that's for sure. He was just laying there, face down on the ground.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our hockey segment. So usually this is where we get completely off the rails the last couple of weeks.
Oh, here? This is when it happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
just checking.
I mean, it happens all the time, but this is where we really go off the rails. Like last week, we talked about Star Wars.
That's true.
And that was, you don't even get upset about it because
I'm not upset. I'm not upset.
Harrison really rates Bensley's favorite Star Wars movie highly.
Episode 5, is this what we're talking about?
Apparently, yeah. Ben doesn't like episode 5. He made it very obvious with all the sound bites that he was playing while Harrison was talking about episode 5.
Yeah, I somehow entered Shock Jock Radio on the last episode where it was just like boing, boing, wah, 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 awooga. Like it was just what is going on here? I was just talking to it was like, welcome to CKW5 FM here live in New York. It's like I did not sign up for this. I thought it was in North Bay. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you must have quite the wild experience last week, Kassie.
Kind of glad I did. Oh. I give up. Honestly, I give up.
Wow.
I can't deal with him anymore.
No. When's the defense off happening?
Yeah.
We're going to have to rent out the Y again. They're going to get sick of us.
Yeah. No, it's mostly that dad.
No, we got to do a rink.
It's
We
actual.
got to do actual skates.
Okay. Well, all the ODRs are closed now as I cry saying that.
Yeah, this is
Me too.
January 30th and the outdoor rinks are closed in North Bay. Isn't that wild?
It sucks.
It really does.
I got like 2 times out there and they were just like, I opened it up the map on Saturday and I was just like, I know what I'm going to see and I know what's going to hurt.
Pain.
But I need to check. And it was just red circles everywhere. It's like, oh, okay. Oh no. I'm sad now.
Okay, how did you're the master bowler now? How'd that go? Did you lose? Did you lose after
I didn't lose.
Okay, because you were so confident. I
didn't lose. I made sure of that.
You were like Pete Weber. Like, who do you think you are? I am.
I did that. No, but I played
number 5.
So, just for context, I went on a date with my girlfriend, who was scandalous, and we went bowling at Partners. It's 5-pin. Played 2 games, and neither of us did very well. It was.
Did you break 100?
Yes, I broke 100. I broke 100, but both of our opening frame was just zeros.
Oh no!
And you get 3 shots at throwing the ball down the lane in 5-pin, and just the opening frame was just zeros across the board. I think I ended up with like a 110 on around both games. It was really bad. It was really bad. She did worse.
How bad is worse? Do we want to throw her under the bus still on the podcast? Like that's a question.
Less than 75.
Ooh,
that's the range I'll give. Yeah. It wasn't very good. I love you, but it was a good time. Partners is a lot of fun. It's fairly affordable. It was just like, hey, let's go do some bowling. It's gonna be really good. The bowling wasn't good, but we had a good time. So I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. Kassie, how would you rate your bowling skills? Are you much of a bowler?
I mean, I haven't bowled in a little while, but I was pretty good. So
How long's a little while? Because you said, I haven't been to Science North in a little while, and you haven't been there since you were in grade 6. Uh-oh.
I'd say also since grade 6.
Oh.
I can't remember the last time I was there.
Did you have to use like the little metal thing that you put the ball on?
Oh, no.
No, you could actually throw the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was strong enough too.
Good for you.
Thank you.
I go through phases where like I'll go for like a month or 2 of bowling and that's all I want to do. And then I won't bowl for like a year.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. It's like, thanks. Okay.
Look at this freak. Like bowling.
Yeah.
What a sicko.
What a weird guy. As my voice cracks and I go back through puberty. You know who's not a good bowler?
Who?
Is it Ben?
Are we gonna have a bowl off now?
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to go front. I'm just joking. I just knew that would get a rise out of you. He's not bad. Wow. Now I'm getting like sound bited off. You're probably wondering how I got here. Don't worry, so are we.
By being trash at bowling.
Yeah, but so the cool thing about Sudbury is it's 10-pin, and 10-pin is so much better than 5-pin. I love 10-pin bowling.
I'm just in shock that you said the cool thing about Sudbury.
So I have dunked on Sudbury quite a bit in these last couple of episodes, so I got to give credit where credit's due. Again, I always say the lifestyle stuff in Sudbury is great. Their bowling alley feels like it's like, well, it was built in the 50s and hasn't been touched since, but they got like 6 aisles or lanes of 10-pin, and then the rest is all 5-pin. And you can pay for like an hour. It's like all you can bowl for like an hour, so you can just keep going, or you can pay for however long you want. But then they have like little mini games like that you can play. So you can play like Angry Birds. Like, oh, did you get a strike? Well, then you're going to take down and you're going to get more points that way or something. So it's kind of neat with that stuff. But so when Topanga and I started dating, we didn't really know what to do. So we went bowling quite a lot. And then she started to get better and the scores started to get closer. And then I was like, I'm no longer going bowling.
And bowling was one of the few activities around, like where I grew up. There was one in Lindsay, which was about a 40-minute drive from me, and then there was one in Bob Cajun, a la Tragically Hip fame, and both of them burned down.
Oh my God!
Both of them burnt down.
It was in Bob Cajun that Harrison saw the bowling alley go up in flames.
Yeah, Cajun Lanes. I remember it well.
Is that what it's called?
It was called
that's
Cajun
a good
Lanes.
Name.
And they had this, bringing it back around, one Star Wars light gun shooter that I would constantly play, and they also had like the blast helmet that Luke would wear as well, so you could put that on. It was awesome, and then it burned down. And I knew I was bad at bowling from then because I had a birthday party there once.
Yeah,
I was in grade 5.
Were you the one that lit it on fire?
No, but I did throw a ball down the ball return, and and the guys had to come out and stop the lane beside us too, and tear up the floor and get the ball out. So maybe my confidence going into bowling this weekend with my girlfriend was misplaced. I did do better. I didn't do that. I didn't break anything, so we're getting better.
What possessed? I know you're like 5, but what possessed you? Be like, oh yeah, this is where the ball goes.
Oh, I just like grabbed it and like at the size of somebody in grade 5, I thought I could one arm it at that time. I could not, and I just picked it up off the ball return, and as I was walking forward, it was just like whoop. Back down, it was like, I have made an error. I have made a mistake. And
yeah, I would say so. Just like, is it as big a mistake as Matt pressing the wrong button like that?
Oh, it was worse. Hey, Matt's thing led to a bit with this music. I stopped an entire party. Now, in fairness, at least it was my party, but I did stop the entire thing because the tech was just like, okay. I don't remember what tool he used. It was probably like a crowbar or something. I had to lift it up and then just pull the ball out. And it's like, all right, you can play again. But my family has a history of being bad at bowling. The last time I remember bowling with my biological sister, she threw a 5-pin ball up in the air, tried to catch it, and sprained her finger. So maybe the Clemences are just not meant to be around bowling.
Man,
balls.
I thought this was just gonna be a short segment, but here we go.
Yep. Welcome to the bowling hour.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I think we got to take you bowling just to see what happens.
Anything could, apparently. I could break something.
Harrison dies, like, straight up.
Just like, time to go. You broke something.
Yeah. My watch is magnetic.
Who do you think you are?
Hey, let's go.
Best sports clip of all time.
Undoubtedly. Like, I called my dad after it, and it was just, we just talked about that clip for like 10 minutes. It was like, I wasn't like that at all, but this clip is incredible.
Yeah. For those that don't know what that clip is, Ben, can you play it again? Or is it gone?
Here we go.
Who do you think you are? I am.
So I don't know if you're still listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
But anyways, Pete Weber's like one of the most famous bowlers of all time. And he, I guess, was getting chirped by like a 12-year-old, which is the funniest thing about that whole thing. And he makes a strike to win the whatever tournament he's in. And he turns around, and that's his celebration, is that he's, you know, like yelling at this kid where he's like, yes, number 5. Like, it's so broken. It's so disjointed. And then he turns around, he's like, who do you think you are? I am.
Who do you think you are? I am.
But it's the arm movement too.
Yeah, I did that. I did that. Who can do that? So good. Like, if you start reciting that or smelling burnt toast, go to the hospital. But it's incredible. I love that moment. It's the only thing I know about bowling. It's the only thing I need to know about bowling.
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am. Damn it right.
Cassie's just shaking her head, being like, "These guys are idiots."
Can we go home now?
No, we're not going
In
home
an
until you like bowling. No, I'm
Do
just
you like
kidding.
bowling yet?
No.
She's just gonna say that just to get out of here.
This is the final part of your co-op. You have to bowl above a 105 pin bowling or you fail. That's your exam.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome.
Thanks.
You thought
No-
your
no
other ones
pressure.
were going to be hard? Wait till you got a bowl.
Yeah, kinesiology has got nothing on bowling.
Combine. That's actually your kinesiology.
Yeah.
Is you have to repair an injured bowler.
Oh, I could do that. I could do that easy peasy.
I can fix him. If he's a bowler.
My nana and my cousin are like really avid bowlers. Well, my nana was, I should say. She bowled a perfect game.
That's
at one point.
awesome.
Yeah, my cousin's bowled a perfect game too. And he's represented. He's been on Special Olympics teams and stuff, like just to bowl. Like, he's awesome.
That's sick.
So bowling's like in the blood, but I just don't like. I'll get to a point where I start to like get better, and then I'll just stop going. Like, it's weird.
You just got to keep going.
Apparently, but like I can't, like, when I first go, it'll be like 70s or 80s. Like, it'll be terrible, and then it'll be like, okay, now we started to like get going. Now we're up to like 150. Now we're up to like 160, and then usually I cap out about 170, and then I'm done.
It's still pretty good for like casual bowling.
Yeah.
And of all the years
I'll
I've gone
take it,
bowling,
but-
I don't know bowling math. I'm bad at regular math.
So it's really confusing, but basically, if you get a strike,
Okay.
whatever you get next, you want to get a spare or a strike because it adds on to the original fifth. Well, if it's 5 pin, it's 15. 10 pin is
I don't
obviously
know.
worth 10 points.
Yes.
But I think 5 pin is worth 15. So if you get a strike, it adds on to the original strike. So that's why when you see turkeys, like 3 straight strikes, it's huge because it's all added on that initial strike.
Oh, okay. So it compounds. And then, gotcha.
Essentially. I don't have like a grasp on it. Hopefully somebody, maybe writes in or tells me at a Voodoos game, because that seems to be the popular thing.
Do we have a P.O. box who's going to write it?
No, social media.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe Pete Weber will come on and
next week on the Frontline.
yeah, we got Pete Weber. Who do you think you are? I am. But anyways, yeah, no. So
Who do you think you are? I am.
it's just so good. We're gonna get flagged
This
so
week's
hard.
episode.
We're gonna get flagged so hard for that. No, but I love it. But yeah, no, it's I'm not like, that's like my basic knowledge of bowling. And the computers do wonders, because if you still had to like manually score,
Oh my gosh.
I'd be like, I don't know what's going on.
like a golf scorecard, but bowling.
Yeah, but golf's at least easy. Like, oh man, I shot a 10. Like at least you know it's a 10.
I can just go +5 on everything.
Yeah.
Terrible. Last time I went golfing. See, hello, welcome to the podcast episode where I describe how terrible at sports I am. I shot like a 175. No, it was like a 152 on a 75.
Yeah.
That was the last time I went bowling.
I mean golfing?
That's why I was so bad.
Who do you think you are? I am.
I bring my 9-iron.
Can you make that part of the hotkeys? Like, oh, beauty. We're going to hear a lot more of that moving forward. But did you bring like a bowling ball to the golf course?
Yeah, that's how I putt. I can't miss the hole.
Well, it won't go in the hole though, but like,
yeah, it just sits on top. Like hammer it into the ground, and then I get banned from the golf course for life.
Yeah, they're like, no more of this.
What's the green fee?
Yeah, what is a green fee? I thought this is bowling. Where's my bowling shoes?
My bowling cleats.
Cassie, do you just stick to hockey, or do you play other sports?
I stick to hockey.
That's it? You don't like golf? You don't baseball? Nothing?
No, I don't really play anything else.
Well, you were talking about horseback riding earlier.
Well, yeah, I do that during the summer, but
Do you still do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I normally tend to stick to hockey.
Do you have your own horse or?
No.
No?
No.
Because they're expensive.
They are expensive.
It's like ridiculous how expensive horses are.
It is, and then they just go and hurt themselves, and it's like, okay, well, I give up, so.
It's just listening to My Chemical Romance in the field or something.
Who do you think you are? I am.
That's the horse going out into the field.
Just
Can we please go?
Oh, there we go.
Your horse is just all sad in the field, just like nothing matters.
I don't want to do this
matters.
anymore.
No?
No.
Why?
When I was a young boy.
Harrison looks
My
emo
father
and it's scary.
When I was a young horse, my father took me into the pasture.
If you thought goalie equipment was expensive, wait till you buy a horse.
Yeah. My cousin owns a horse, and like I don't know how. Like, good for you. Well, this is the episode in which I just talk about how eccentric my cousins are, and all I do is host a podcast.
My family comes from ages of wealth. They ride the horse, yes.
Yeah, it's very nice water today.
That North Bay tap water. Exquisite.
Exquisite. It has been, aged in a filter. And
filter. I just got mine from the tap. I didn't know there was filtered
You know
water.
what? Okay, so I went out to buy, and now this is becoming the alcohol episode. I went out to buy a bottle of, some bottles for some prizes of alcohol, and which is still sitting in someone's office in the other room. This is a special occasion. Break it out. Let's go. No, anyway, so it's Wayne Gretzky whiskey because I'd heard a lot of good things. So I was like, well, the lady at the LCBO was way too excited about it. She's like, did you know that they make it in like wine barrels and all this stuff? And I was like, okay. And then she's like, and they age it like and I was like, okay, I'm already buying it. You don't need to sell me on this. Like,
Buy another. And they make commission off of it.
Yeah, no, it's anyways, but so yeah, horseback riding though. So like, I know we talked about this like off air, but like, how competitive do you get with like horseback riding?
I'm
genuinely interested. Like, I'm not trying to do this like as a joke. If a joke comes out of it, like My Chemical Romance, but I genuinely want to know.
I do competitive jumping.
Yeah.
So I basically go to I do competitions and I jump, and there's different like meters of height that you jump. I ride a few different horses, so they're all different. They're all at different levels, I'll say, kind of.
It's like stick flex. You gotta use it differently.
Okay.
This is why I stick to bowling.
Who do you think you are?
A horse.
Who do you think you are? I am.
It's the emotion coming from Ben down there every time it plays.
He's too excited.
You got to see the actual clip though. Like the actual video is so good. Anyways, so the different sizes of here it is. We're gonna get to see it again.
Are you kidding me? That's right. Who do you think you are? I am.
To claim it, a
Okay, we don't need. We're good now. She's just. Is that your first time seeing that clip?
I'm more laughing at the fact of what Ben was doing.
His perfect reenactment.
Yes.
The fact that he just goes back to a straight face down there after doing that is just. Oh boy. So, anyways, the different sizes of horses. I'm still genuinely interested. We talk about hockey on this podcast.
Sure.
Please tell us. I'll take horses for 500, Alex.
Oh my God. I can't concentrate with this.
You're gonna have to power through it.
Okay.
Now you know how the contestants on Jeopardy feel, except for they're playing for thousands of dollars.
Yeah, there's a difference.
You could buy a horse with what you win on Jeopardy.
What type of horse?
I don't know. I bet my.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Please cut that out. Please cut that out.
No, that's staying.
I'm too tired for this.
You haven't had an exam today. Okay.
I didn't get good sleep last night. Okay.
For reals, what kind of horse did you buy? Now that I know the different types.
Would I buy?
Well, that's what I thought you were. Okay, no, so what kind of the horse sizes that we were talking about? You know, it's like a shoe, 8.5.
I normally ride about 15 hands.
What's that mean?
Like 15 hands tall. Like that's how you measure a horse.
In hands?
Yeah, that's literally.
Like
search it up.
Actual.
I swear to you.
Googling horse hands.
So wait, they're 15 hands tall. So like from the ground, you go like this.
A hand is 4 inches.
What?
Yeah, you measure with hands.
Why is it not in feet like everything else?
I don't know. Ask the people who invented it.
That's so silly. Can you throw that on the actual video, Ben, just so that way people don't know that we're not being crazy? So 15 hands.
Yeah.
What's the smallest that you will ride?
Oh my God. The smallest I'll ride is probably 10.
10, and is
10.
15 the biggest, or do you go?
No, you can go way bigger.
No, but for you, I mean,
wait. So a 40-inch horse.
What?
10 hands would be 40 inches, right?
40 inches? What? No.
Yeah, 4 times 10.
A hand is 4 inches.
Approximately.
You searched up horse hands.
Yes, I searched.
It's also up there.
Yeah, but he actually did how do you measure horses in hand? He just searched up horse hands.
Oh.
Like, literally, that's all.
That's amazing.
Images.
Oh, no.
Horses walking around with like Kawhi Leonard hands.
A horse dunked on
I
the 76ers.
think we need to end this.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No. Oh, what is that? No.
That is terrifying.
So okay. So you'll ride between 10 hands, and what do you max out at?
22.
22. Okay, but you'll usually do 15. 15 is like your comfort zone kind of thing.
No,
it's just the horse that I was kind of given to ride.
It's the hand you were dealt.
What's the name of your... Oh my god. What's the name of the horse that you ride?
I ride about 3. So one's Fern, one's Billy, and one's Katie.
Oh, those are some pretty good names.
2 of them are Fern and Billy are brothers. So
when I play Red Dead Redemption 2 and I name my horses, I literally name them after what I use them for. So like my main horse is called Speed because he's a fast horse. I'm currently replaying Red Dead Redemption 2, yes. But I don't know horses, so I'll just be like, oh, this one's expensive. It must be good.
This is fast horse.
Yeah.
This is money horse. This is wife left me horse.
Maybe. We might get that. We might get there tonight.
This horse is from Sudbury.
This is the I won at bowling horse.
I would never own that one.
That's wild. I never knew that that's how you measure horses.
In hands.
What else can you teach us about horses? We just have a horse podcast. Like, let's just.
Oh no.
We're gonna go horse from talking about all this. So when you do the jumps,
Yeah.
what's the highest jump you'll do, or you have done?
Honestly,
Is it measured in hands too?
no, it's not. It's measured in meters.
Okay, well, see, that makes sense.
2 meters,
Yeah.
2.5 meters.
And so is the objective not to knock off the poles?
Yes, that is not the wait. The objective is not to knock off the poles. There we go.
Okay.
So if you're running like the course, like I've seen,
Yeah,
and you knock off a pole, does that like disqualify or you just lose points?
you lose points.
Okay. So what's a perfect score? Is there a perfect score? I am learning.
It
So
would,
I
it
am
would probably be like course dependent,
forgot.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. It's like high jumping essentially, where you don't want to knock off the pole.
Yeah, basically.
That's kind of cool. That's cool though. So what drove you to what drove you to riding horses?
My mom used to ride them, and before she had me, and she kind of just sent me to horse camp, and
Yeah.
I've been riding since I was around 3.
Wow.
So
Good for you.
I just kind of grew up with it, and
That's impressive. Good for you.
thank you.
Did you like grow up around farms and stuff, or?
I didn't live near a farm, but I was always at my mom was always at a farm, so she'd always take me with her, and I guess you could say I kind of grew up around farms then.
Oh, okay. Just happened to be
So-
there. Family was there and all that. So
Yeah. She was friends with the owner, so she kind of just threw me in everything that the owner was offering, and I just kind of
Took it.
dealt with it.
Yeah. That's cool though. Like, I mean, like when you're 3, you're gonna have no idea what you like, right? So to
Yeah.
form that and stuff and get that going. So then, was it recent that you started playing hockey?
Yeah, it was recent.
How recent is recent? Like 2-3 years since the pandemic? Before the pandemic?
After the pandemic.
Okay. What drove you to hockey then? Like if you were all about horseback riding?
I was about horseback riding, but jumping is more like in the summer, and I can't, like, you can go on trail rides in the winter, but that was pretty much it, and I was kind of just
Yeah, that's super exciting. I bet.
well, it's fun, like, it's relaxing, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's kind of boring, and my family is a hockey family,
Oh, okay.
so,
And you don't cheer for a specific team in the NHL?
well, my dad cheers for Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
but-
let's go. Cassie's dad.
boo.
Wow.
Thank you, Ben.
but,
How's them injuries going for you?
Many and plentiful.
but
So-
I just never picked a team, and
No.
I just watched it and kind of was like, oh, that seems really fun, and tried it out because I liked skating. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'll give it a try. Why not?
Yeah.
And fell in love with it. So
And now you're body checking everyone and getting penalties all the time.
yeah.
She learned quick.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Like, good for you. That's a really interesting, because I remember my cousin again, like, got into horseback riding when she was young, and then all her birth, like, she was 3 years older than me, so I was just the lame cousin that had to go to everything. But she, like, you know, we'd go and do these things, and I was like 5 on the back of a horse, being like holding on for dear life, you know, and then we're just walking around and like, you know, the main barn or whatever,
Yeah.
like just walking around, like we're not doing anything crazy, and I'm just like, I'm gonna die, and that was probably the last time I was on the back of a horse. Not because like I was scared, I just never had another opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
It's neat. You're up there pretty high though. When you're like 5 years old, that's pretty high up. Yeah,
don't know.
and
How
a
is
shoulder
it?
shrug. Just, I mean, it's no big deal.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever been on a horse.
You came up in the Kawarthas. You would have had to have been.
If we discussed this the other day, I was always like adjacent to country things.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I might have ridden a pony at a fair or something like that, but I don't think I've ever been horseback riding, any sort of like ATVing or anything
No.
like that. I was always like adjacent to those things.
Yeah.
I'm not against horse riding or anything. It's just
Harrison is like vehemently against it. He's like, no.
No horses.
Yeah.
Only bowling. We will we will ride motorized balls everywhere.
When Harrison like goes by like a barn or something and there's like horses there and stuff, he's like, who do you think you are? I am.
I'm a horse. I'm the only one allowed to be a horse.
Who do you think you are? I am.
That's never going away. That's staying on the show. That's now a staple. Well, now that we don't have any Star Wars to talk about, that should wrap things up here this week. No, that was honestly though, Cassie. Thank you. I learned a lot. I straight up. That was awesome. I'm not. I know usually we're just like taking shots at everyone and taking shots at each other, but that was like legit. Like, it was great. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Harrison, on the other hand, you got to be better at bowling, but we'll see how that goes when we go bowling.
Freaking hate horses, dude. I was steaming mad the entire time.
Yeah, you got to get Harrison on your horse or something.
Oh gosh.
Come on, bring him out there. Show him some pointers.
Learn how to
I'll
ride
lead
a
him
horse.
like a pony.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be
Harrison. I got apples. I got an apple, Harrison.
I'll chase after an apple.
Nope.
I'll race a horse. I think I could beat a horse in a race.
Not what I meant.
I could win.
No, you couldn't win. I can't win when a horse is running straight
Are we gonna have
at
a horse
me.
off?
I'm at least like 3 hands wide, tall.
Why?
Are we gonna have a horse off now? We're gonna have the defense off and a horse off.
I can wear shoes.
Hey, no more horsing around.
Oh God.
All right.
Please tell me we're done.
No, we are not. We are going for 5 more hours.
No.
We have to make sure that everyone who's driving into town to watch hockey games get to listen to this whole thing. Anyways, yeah, no, I will say that should wrap this up. I want to thank JJ again for joining us, talking everything about the Powassan Voodoos leading up to the 2019-20 season. Again, huge thank you to Harrison and Kassie for joining me this week and talking about a bunch of different subjects. I don't think any of them, I mean, we never know where we're going with this, and I'm sure that's very evident to the listeners. And again, producer Ben at the other end. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, all the places you find your podcast. Check us out on YouTube as well. The After Action Report, we only have one this week, and it's coming out the same day that we have this podcast dropping. So that should be a good one, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've totally forgot about it off the hop. Huge thanks to Jess Rovita for putting together some music as well. Love it off the hop. I totally meant to hit that off the top, but instead I was too busy thinking about the KFC fries.
Who do you think you are? I am.
And there we go. So with that being said, I'm Kortney Kenny, and keep your eye on the front line.
The Frontline, hosted by Kortney Kenny, the official podcast of the Powassan Voodoos.